In our birth chart, we have an aspect called Lilith, oftentimes referred to also as the Black Moon Lilith. And the Black Moon Lilith represents in our chart the part of ourselves that we feel the most ashamed of. And that is indicated by the sign that Lilith is in. So if Lilith is in Gemini, we feel ashamed for our curiosity. If Lilith is in Capricorn, we feel ashamed for our ambition. But that is all indicated by the sign that your Lilith is in. But there's also a house your Lilith is in. So in this video, I'm covering what it means to have your Lilith in your first house, also known as your Ascendant or Rising, because this is going to show you where in your life your shame shows up. Hello and welcome back to the Be the Hero channel. My name's Isabelle and I help you understand who you are using personality typing and astrology. Because I was the person who really felt lost and confused for a lot of my life because I didn't know who I was or what my desires really were. Then I discovered the Enneagram, my birth chart, the Myers-Briggs, and so much more. And this gave me a really clear sense on what I wanted to do and who I could be. So now I help you understand these things too, so you can understand yourself a little better and enjoy the process of learning. Now, before I dive into what it means to have your Lilith in your Ascendant, hit the link in the description below to get your very own My Horoscope Made Me Do It hoodie. I absolutely love this hoodie right now. It is one of the coziest hoodies I've worn. So hit the link in the description below to get yours now. So I recently did a video series covering Lilith through the signs, and if you don't know what sign your Lilith is in, you can check out that video series to learn all about what that means to have your Lilith in a specific sign. But in this video series, I'm covering that not only does your Lilith in a sign, it's also in a house, and you'll only know what house it's in if you know your time of birth. So if you don't know your time of birth, you won't know what house it's in for the most part. You can have astrologers guess, but you won't know for sure. Lilith in our birth chart represents the part of us we feel most ashamed of. And the story behind Lilith is that Lilith was the first wife of Adam, to my understanding, and she was a very powerful woman who was very independent and didn't necessarily need Adam. She figured out things on her own. She had a lot of strengths and talents. But she wasn't passive enough for Adam, and so they threw her out of the world and replaced her with Eve. So Lilith is our talents that we feel the most ashamed of. The things that were our powers at one point, but we felt that were going to get us abandoned and thrown out from the world. And so now we repress them. But the house that your Lilith is in tells you where this shame will most likely show up. It will also show you what area of life you feel most ashamed of. And there are 12 houses in astrology, each representing the 12 areas of our lives. I have a video covering each of the houses, or at least I will soon. And the houses each reflect the zodiac signs. So if that helps you understand the houses, that can give you some indication into what area of life you feel ashamed of. Our first house represents and reflects Aries themes. And Aries is all about the moment we come into the world for the first time. It has a lot to do with identity. The phrase that's associated with Aries is I am. So the first house in astrology is all about our sense of identity, your rising sign. It's also known as your rising sign, and it's also known as your ascendant. So if you look at your chart and you see that Black Moon Lilith shape, which is a black crescent moon with a cross underneath it, that is your Lilith. And if it's in the sign of if it's in your first, that was loud. If it's in your first house, that means that you're going to have shame around your sense of identity. The first house is not just about your appearance. It's really become complicated to explain the rising sign recently in astrology, because everyone's like saying, oh no, it's just your identity. No, it's your perception of the world. And it can leave us confused on what it really represents. The first house really does have to do with both these things, which is it's how people first see us. I like to think of it as the sign people would first guess we are. And it also has to do with how we perceive reality, what our initial instinct is when we interact with the world. If you have a Libra rising, you're someone who immediately views the world as, how can I get along with everyone? If you have a Sagittarius rising, you're someone who immediately interacts with the world and thinks, how can I bring novelty to my life? This shows a bit of your first primal instinct, and it shows how people see you. It's your personality, truly, in a way, whereas the rest of your chart does make up your personality as well, but it shows your first appearance and characteristics. So when we have Lilith, our shame, in the sign of our first house, we feel a lot of shame around our sense of identity. And I think it's very important to know the sign that your first house is in, Lilith, because it's going to show you how you want to appear to the world. So for example, let's just say you have a Lilith in your first house in Gemini. You are someone who wants to appear curious to the world, be a social butterfly, ask questions, just be yourself, but you feel that you're not allowed to show up like that. And people who show strong Gemini traits are going to drive you crazy, because how dare they get to be able to embrace that and you can't. People with a first house Lilith are someone who might feel a little conflicted in their sense of self. They might deep down know what they want to appear like, or they don't know truly how they want to appear to the world. They might constantly feel that they have to reinvent themselves and try out different identities until they get the right one, only to have to constantly change what that is. I've found that the house that our Lilith is in is also an area of our life where we can experience constant trials and tribulation. So for the first house Lilith, you can have a lot of issues around identity show up, and the more you work on your identity, the more struggles might come up, and these are just resistance blockers. They are obstacles to hurdle, not something to avoid. Oftentimes when we work on our Lilith, we experience resistance from the universe, from the energies, from the cosmos, from society, because naturally we have this mental belief and shame built around our Lilith. So people with a Lilith in their rising might find that they are working on their sense of identity, cultivating a sense of self, and this might make some things conflict in their reality, or they might find that it leads to issues in other areas of their life, maybe like their seventh house, their opposite, in their relationships. But this should not be discourage the first house Lilith to work on that, because this is where you hold your greatest gifts. Lilith is not just about our shame, it's about our powers as well. So people with a first house Lilith are people who have a strong sense of identity, and when they align with it, they're going to inspire other people to show themselves authentically as well. Again, the rising sign also has to do with how we perceive reality. So it really is hard to explain the first house Lilith without knowing the sign it's in, but generally you have a very unique perception of the world. You approach the world unlike anyone else does, depending on the sign that your rising Lilith is in. But you are someone who, when you embrace your rising sign, the more you allow yourself to show up as whatever sign your first house is fixed into, the more you inspire other people to embrace who they are. And when you live in alignment with that sense of identity, things are going to start falling away. You might experience obstacles at first, but then life is going to get easier for you, and you will be able to attract the things that are in alignment with that sense of identity. You'll have a stronger sense of identity than anyone else. I would also highly recommend that people who have a first house Lilith look at what other planets are in their first house, because you'll likely feel shame around those things too, even if they're in a different sign, and you'll want to work on embracing those, and these can bring you more strength into those areas of your life. The first house also has a lot to do with our physical appearance. So one of the most common ways that a Lilith ascendant can express itself is through feeling ashamed or insecure around your physical appearance. So these people can be highly aware of how they look, feeling that they never look pretty enough or attractive enough, or that they look weird. They have this weird body proprioception that makes them feel constantly insecure. So working on body positivity and self-acceptance and cultivating their appearance is something that's going to be highly important for them. I think that some of the most healing ways that people with a Lilith in first house can overcome their shame is purely, in the simplest, just working on trying out different styles, letting yourself dress in more bold ways, dressing in a way that allows you to feel confident and like you deserve to be seen. Oftentimes, people with a first house Lilith feel like they have to hide in the shadows, or that they should bring no attention to themselves because they are unlovable for who they are. and allowing themselves to be seen and love themselves for who they are and dressing in a way that shows that is extremely healing. One of the greatest gifts, though, of someone who has a Lilith in their first house will be their independence. Once you overcome your shame around allowing yourself to be a unique individual, you will find that you can be extremely fulfilled on your own. You don't need anyone else as much as other people might need to be fulfilled. And so you can find yourself carving your own path and taking your own way and being extremely fulfilled in that process. You're independent and individualistic. So if you're watching this and you're wondering too, how can I heal my Lilith first house more and live in alignment with my powers? Some of the most healing things, like I said, a Lilith in first house can do is 1, work on their appearance, building a sense of positivity around their physical appearance and their sense of self. This might require you to literally put more effort into making yourself feel pretty. And this is not in the sense that you need to work harder to look good. This is in the sense of making a ritual out of getting ready to start your day to make yourself feel good about yourself. Maybe tending to your physical body, doing things that make you physically feel good about who you are really important. Secondly, I recommend this always for every Lilith sign and house, is to journal and reflect and meditate on that time in childhood where you felt that you were not allowed to be a unique individual. Where was the exact moment where you felt that you were taught, I am not allowed to be seen, I am not allowed to be heard, and I should not assert a sense of self, I should just merge with other people and hide who I am? Is there a time where you felt that you were not allowed to share your beliefs or share your perception on the world? Write about these things and go back to that childhood version of yourself and tell them it's okay to be a unique individual. It's okay to be yourself. You are worthy of love as the person you are. Third thing that a rising Lilith should do is really journal and write about what their values are. Knowing, again, your sign that your rising is in is going to be really important for this. So what is your rising sign? Whether it's Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, what are the values that archetype is all about? What are the things that are most important to them? And how can you live in alignment with those? And what are your unique values, maybe outside of astrology? Maybe you have values that are not necessarily dictated by your chart but at first glance. Maybe they're not dictated by your rising. Cultivate that sense of who you are. And finally, do things on your own. Like I said, people with a first house Lilith are very independent and individualistic. So make time to just do things with yourself. Become your own best friend, in a sense. Become your closest partner and do things on your own, whether that's going for a hike, staying at home, meditating, working, whatever it is that you want to do. Be more independent and allow yourself to be more individualistic. If this video helped you understand what you need to know about the Lilith in the first house, let me know in the comments below. And while you're down there, tell me what sign your first house Lilith is in, and I can kind of tell you what your biggest strength and perception is going to be and what your struggle is going to be. So let me know in the comments below what your Lilith first house sign is in. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay tuned for more videos breaking down astrology. If you are interested in learning more about astrology and you want to work on self-development, if you are interested in workbooks and courses, if you love to learn, then you should definitely check out the Making Mindfulness Fun bundle in the link in the description below, where I took all 30 of the workbooks and courses that I have ever created on astrology, Enneagram, mindfulness, and so much more, and put it all into one bundle available now for only $30. That's $1 per course per workbook. And one that I think you guys are going to really enjoy is the Simple Guide to Zodiac Signs and Houses, where I break down this in the simplest form what each zodiac sign is truly about and what it means when applied to everything. This will help you understand and master astrology better. So if you are just listening to this video and you want to understand what it means to have your Lilith in your first house and the sign it's in, this workbook is perfect for understanding what that sign is all about and how you can live in alignment with your Lilith better. So that's the Making Mindfulness Fun bundle, available for a limited time now in the link in the description below. You can learn more about it in that link first if you want. Thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, my name is Isabelle, and from my heart to yours, namaste.